Okay. I'd like to call to order the Avalon City Council meeting of December 6th. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, my God. A couple of announcements are, first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to the Vons employees. They have been working under extreme pressure for a long time and very understaffed. You know, they bring up people from the mainland, you got people like Carlos and all those guys that retired, and there's more going to retire. So I really appreciate the hard work they do in keeping food on the shelves and that kind of thing. So shout out to Brian and the crew. And I'd like to have a moment of silence for Estelle McEwen. Please be seated. Okay, may we please have the roll call?
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Here.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Here.
Councilmember Schickling?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ponce?
Here.
Mayor Marshall?
Here. Okay, are there any announcements or written communications?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Department head reports.
Good evening, Bob Greenlaw, Director of Public Works. So I've got a couple items. The Casino Way Arch Rehab, hey, we're finally there, and you see it's fully wrapped just like a present. It's soon. We'll put some Christmas decorations even on the outside of it because it's going to be there for 2 or 3 more weeks, that wrapping there. That wrapping is to protect the public and also to keep all the materials that are being taken off internal to that so it doesn't make such a mess. So the contractor is MKS Painting. They're an island business here. The work started last week, and so far they've taken the pressure washer and removed the outside. Only the loose material was out there. They've cleaned the salt residue with Simple Green, and then they've put a sealer coat underneath that, and they're in the process of replastering it.
Great.
And they're doing a very nice finish on that. It'll look just like it was, okay? But, like it was originally.
Yeah.
So they're getting that done. So it should be 2-3 weeks, hopefully before we see New Year's that we'll see that fully done. It depends, on the weather, of course. If it gets a cold snap, we've got to have, the right temperature for that durable coating that we're going to put on, because we're going to put a super durable coating as a final finish on it that is intended to withstand that harsh environment up there by the ocean front.
Great.
And then also we're going to be presenting the Mode Shift project again. So that study that talks about shifting modes more to the pedestrian micro kind of transportation, getting people out of their vehicles as much as possible. We're going to do that during that special meeting that we're having on the 14th from 10 to 12. And we're going to take that time, since we're talking about vehicles and transportation, that it melts nicely right with that same topic of mode shift. And that's what I have for you tonight.
Any questions of Bob? No, thank you.
Oh, Bob, I'm
I'm
actually
sorry.
sorry. Mary and I were talking today just about project updates. For the mole project, where are we in the timeline of grants and funding and any updates from any of that application?
So we had planned to come back in front of you, in January.
Okay.
Right now, we're currently getting the RFP for the design build finalized. So we've been working on that. And we've also been looking at alternatives. So whether it's all of the project and any of the gap in funding, and then, or just pieces of that project and project in different stages. So that's what we'll be presenting to you, and we're preparing for you so that we can talk about that in January and get direction on what is it once we see, because all those alternatives can be rolled out in the design build RFP, and you'd have real numbers to be able to make some decisions on that. Okay?
Awesome. And then the only other question I had, just which partly does with your world and then also with city admin, is we were talking about how it might be beneficial to have a regular update page on the website of certain projects that are ongoing. I know that we have the mole page with the plans on there currently. Is that something with the new website that can be added in relatively simply, of just
Yes.
kind of where it
Yes.
is, what the stages
Now that
are?
we get a new website, it becomes very user-friendly, and,
Okay.
and that would be also the time to get people used to looking at public works, looking at the city's CIP projects,
Yeah.
and giving them good updates.
Awesome.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Warren Karstarfen, Avalon Harbor Master. Since my last report, Tuesday, November 1st, Patrol moored 575 boats for a total of 3,929 nights. Patrol did 16 warnings or advisements of municipal code violations. Assisted the sheriffs 2 times, assisted Baywatch 2 times, did 284 security patrols of our facilities, and assisted the Coast Guard 2 times. Patrol also responded to an Avalon boater report of a missing outboard engine taken from their dinghy sometime during the night. Patrol conducted an investigation, and the missing outboard was found aboard another boat that was at anchor, and the owner did not want to press charges, and the item was quickly returned to the owner without further issue. I'm really happy to report to you that our new pump head float is here in Avalon. It's at the Pebbly Beach Boatyard. The build is fantastic. We're really happy with the outcome of the float. While at Pebbly Beach, the harbor maintenance staff will continue installation of the 2 pumps that will be on board. The water supply lines will be also installed, and then the plumbing and electrical will all be put in place. The outer protection of the float will be like a 3.5-inch demold rubber that will provide some fendering for all the boaters that come alongside. We're really happy about this float because instead of having 2 small 10 by 20s, we have now 1 consistent 40-foot float that is 2 feet wider than the last float, so it's 12 feet wide. So anyways, really happy about this, a lot more stable than the old float, and we look at probably January for getting that back in the water. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and the council, city leadership. Since our last council meeting, the Sheriff's Department has responded to 80 calls for service, and they did actually 80 observations and then 50 calls for service from calls into the station. We made a total of 7 arrests. There was 2 for unlicensed drivers, 1 for drunken public, 2 for tampering with a vehicle, 1 for reckless driving with an injury, which is a felony, and 1 for DUI. I'm happy to report that the department is finally upgrading our data infrastructure. We're getting a microwave connection from our station directly to Overland to get a faster net download speed. So our speeds prior to, or currently actually, are very slow. So we have a speed now, it's in the single digits of download speeds, whereas we're going to get to about 60 once the dishes are up. So it'll improve our service immensely, and as of right now, it's even difficult for us to download emails a lot of times. So we're very excited about that. It's a system that we've had for a very long time at this station, and we should be back up to speed like the rest of the county very soon. We're on schedule for the toy draw, or the toy giveaway on the 16th with IEX helicopters and the city being involved. We're now collecting as many toys as we can, and we expect them to be arriving on island at 11 a.m. With Santa. The department will pick up Santa Claus from the helipad, bring over to City Hall here, and we'll pass out presents to the kids. So it should be a good event for everybody.
Is this Santa coming from the North Pole or?
I believe so. I
You know,
mean, that's the only place I know Santa
because
comes
there's
from.
children listening.
Yeah, I believe it is the Santa from North Pole.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Now I'm confused.
And
Okay. Like,
in addition to the toy giveaway, the news will be following the helicopter. Channel Fox 11 will be
Okay.
following the helicopter and giving a report on the ground. And also on this Thursday, we have a Spectrum News doing interview with a local family, just kind of talk about how they're affected by the toy giveaway and that kind of thing.
oh, that's
So we have a
nice.
family picked out. We should be ready to go on Thursday, and that should be, on Spectrum News. And one more thing, on the 12th, we have the department will be assisting St. Catherine's with their a procession. It's the procession for the Our Lady of Guadalupe, which goes on from the stage on Front Street. It'll go down Catalina up to Fremont, down to is it Clarissa? Clarissa. Yeah.
Tremont to Clarissa.
And then back to up Beacon to the church.
Nice.
Any questions at all?
Well, the other thing that happened in that time is you became the captain
Yes, ma'am.
officially, so thank you.
Yes.
And
Thank you. I
you're
appreciate it.
welcome. And also, I saw that you were getting the Christmas spirit, and they were putting lights up around the station, so thank you. That's
Yeah.
going to be nice as
We have
well.
a new tree up, and it's
Yeah, good.
come on by anytime. So.
Okay.
I did have a question, just, do you know if by chance our new Sheriff-elect, Robert Luna, will thinking of visiting the island, visiting the station?
I don't know what the plans are. I know that, so each unit has a captain pretty much, or a director, and there are about 80 of us. So there's about 80 different units, as well as so many things that he has to do. So I don't know at what point. I expect him to come over. I'm pretty sure that he will, but as far as when or, any time frame at all, it's kind of tough to say, because it's such a,
Yeah.
that he has a tremendous job, and I'm sure he has no idea what he got his job. It's a massive company,
Yeah.
basically, if you
Yeah.
look at it that way. It's working. I had the chance to work at headquarters for a long time. You kind of get a feel for the department that I had no idea was there, and there are actually units and different things that goes on in the department you have no idea that's even
Yeah.
exists. So. Yeah, I expect him to, and I'll ask if we can get that request, but
Yeah,
I'm sure he'd love to. It just depends on the schedule.
right, if you could. I know that things are always different here, we're unique, so I'd like him to see that.
He was actually over on the island prior to being elected. He came by, and he I think it was about maybe a month or two before I got here myself. So he did stop by, kind of just say hello to the station, but yeah, I'll definitely reach out to my chain of command and see if he can come over. And
Okay, thank
when I
you.
do see him, I'll tell him personally to come visit.
And sorry to hear about all of those new recruits, the cadets that all got, that was horrendous.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
horrible situation.
Yeah.
We got very fortunate that there's only one right now that's in very serious critical condition at the
Right.
moment, and we're hoping that he recovers and gets back in the
I know, that was just really, really sad to hear. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Matt Baker, Finance Department. Just a couple of items. One, business licenses will be going out by the end of this week. So if you don't have your business license by, say, December 15th, please contact the Finance Department. We're trying to clean up, so we may have some businesses in our system as open that aren't open. So if you do get one and it's for a business that should be closed, we'd appreciate if you'd let us know that. That way we can close it in our records and be as current as we can. Similarly, if there's new contact information, new mailing address, email address, a lot of our businesses have been businesses in town for so long that we don't have email addresses on file. So as we're kind of navigating towards everything online, if you don't know if we have your email address, we're happy to get those email addresses, which will help us in the future. Other than that, dog licenses, beginning January, you'll need to get a new license. So if you haven't already done so, we do have licenses for 23 in City Hall and the Finance Department right now. I think I mentioned at the last meeting, October revenues were kind of flattening, kind of more in line with last October, but again, that's not a bad thing, just given how strong of an October we had last year.
Yeah.
Finance also focused on the audits, and hopefully in January we'll be presenting the 22 financials. With that, if there's any questions.
I think we're good. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. On November 22nd, we gave out over 35 full turkey dinners to families in need. All those were made available due to donations from the Lions Club, Rotary, Island Company, Cat Beverage, and our very own BBK. And I just received a donation from Avalon Environmental towards the Christmas holiday. So it's
Nice.
everybody's jumping in to help those who are in need. So we're really thankful for that. Vaughn's also gave $25 gift certificates for us to give out to singles and small families to help offset some of the costs as well. So our next holiday baskets will be given out for Christmas on December 20th, along with the toys donated by Southern California Edison, IEX Helicopters, and our very own Sheriff's Department. I did get the email today. Maybe he didn't get the email, but Santa from the North Pole is coming. It is him. Just because he's taking the helicopter, he's just giving the day off to the reindeers. So it is from the North Pole Santa. The Christmas lighting on Saturday, December 3rd, was a huge success. Working in conjunction with Love Catalina and the Shop at Catalina event, Brent Thorpe was voted to have the most Christmas spirit all year long and was chosen to pull the level to the light to our new beautiful Christmas tree. I'd like to give some shout outs to Love Catalina for providing the Shop Catalina event, as well as the Jingle Singers. Credit to my coworker Jen Diaz for kind of making that stage look beautiful, as well as providing music and live entertainment. Big shout out to the group that I feel like never gets enough credit, and that's our Public Works crew. People like to give me credit for the tree. I just basically picked out the tree and bought it. They put it together, and then they got inspired and started redoing all the lights throughout town, through the front street, and they really did a bang-up job with that. Along with John Gilbert being able to provide us the power we need to be able to put as much lights as we are going up, as well as figuring out ways that we can put some lights in the palm trees as well as in the planters. And moving forward with the lights, we feel as though the palm tree lighting, it's a better system than what we got right now with kind of those neon lights. And so we're working on figuring out throughout town the schematics of how we want to light up Casino Way with the palm trees in that area, maybe have the palm trees in front of Sumner and Catalina lit up to invite people more to Front Street. And we'll have those little lightings inside the planters that really add a nice little ambiance, because that's all at eye level. And that was actually John Gilbert's idea, and I thought it was brilliant. That one's pretty cheap to do. The other ones we'll probably definitely need to come back to council to discuss the financing for the lighting, but I think it proves its worth.
Yes.
The tree did what it was supposed to do and inspired others to want to do more for Christmas. So we've put a Christmas committee together. We have 2 council members who are on it. We had a meeting yesterday. We had Nicole Hoenston from, I got to get better at pronouncing her last name. I'm sorry,
Canyon.
Nicole. We had Nicole Hoenston from the Chamber Board, as well as Lisa and Mary Schickley, and Megan Wright. we're part of this group, and we're probably
And
going to
Lola.
bring maybe 1 or 2 more people. Excuse me?
Lola?
Oh, and Lola DeMille. Excuse me, Lola. And we came up with some great ideas and what it should look like, how we can go about and get the businesses more involved. After that night, you know, because I stayed there with Santa all night, I had a lot of business owners who came up to me and they're just like, we got to do more. We got to.
Yes.
They understand that we're now invested. They want to invest more. So the tree did exactly what it's supposed to do. So thank you, council, for allowing us to move forward and think bigger and be bigger. Appreciate that. This is the last week for soccer signups. The last day will be this Sunday. It's sign up and evaluation day. It's only $20 to join. It's for kids TK to 8th grade. If you're having a hard time signing up, you can come up and sign up there because we did change our whole system over. And so we are taking signups on the new system. And so we will take signups day of the evaluation. So we expect to bring those numbers just like we did for flag football. We're expecting to bring those numbers back in close to pre-COVID numbers. And that's, last thing. The Avalon home decorating contest is going great. We had purchased originally, because we were thinking people might be hesitant to do it the first year, so we had purchased only 25 of those participation signs to put in front of the house. That is now, we've surpassed it.
Right.
But does not mean you still cannot participate, because we have still plenty of the ornaments, the participation. Mary got hers, so hopefully everybody will still participate. You can still go to avalonsmarthomes.com/contest and sign your house up for free, sign up to vote for free, and get your participation ornament. Thank you.
Was there still going to be a prime time or Christmas holiday meal?
Originally, the hard part about that was I had it set up with one restaurant, and then
Right.
that restaurant had to back out
Right.
because they just don't have employees.
Yes.
And then I had a second restaurant that was lined up, but now she does not know if she will be able to open up that midweek to do a prime timers. But I'm setting up to do it in the first week of January, to do kind of like a fresh start for the new year.
Okay.
And also bring in all our volunteers to that one as well, to kind of thank them and get them excited for the next year as well.
That's a great idea.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, city manager.
Fire department.
I think we have the chief. The chief is
Oh,
out there,
my
yes.
God. Send the ambulance, please. Go ahead, fire department.
Good evening, mayor, staff, city council. This month of November, the fire department had 65 medical calls and 12 fire-related calls. One of the fire-related calls is going to be just a warning to everybody about portable space heaters. This one happened to be at my house. Luckily, somebody was home. It was plugged into the wall and started smoking in the outlet. So always unplug your heaters when you leave your house, one of them. Never leave your heater unattended. Try and keep your heater at least 3 feet away from everything. Also, they do not recommend you plug in your heater to a extension cord or power strip. Our ladder truck is down. We had a significant leak for the aerial ladder. I want to thank the mechanics for getting everything taken apart, and we had to have it shipped to the mainland. Some parts will hopefully be back at the end of the week or early next week. And that's all for the fire department. For code enforcement, Miguel and Efrain worked on a report for us. So the month of November, Miguel and Efrain, as of today, a couple of days extra, wrote 157 citations. That does not include any warnings that they gave the people or red tags. They coordinated and towed 2 vehicles to a place at Pebbly that will be sent to the island, off the island, on our next ship off to Kroger Tow in Carson, and they also booted one full-size truck. Since 2017, Code has removed 109 vehicles. That includes motorcycle, golf carts, and full-size vehicles. Other duties this month that Code has done, Code has issued 30 red tag warnings for illegal dumping, animal noise, trash cans without lids, and illegal disposal of cooking oil. They also tagged 15 bikes and put them in front of City Hall for disposal. They've tagged a few bikes around town at the bike racks. They help and issue and take illegally dumped hazardous waste to Pebbley Beach for disposal. In November, they had 15 verbal stop work orders. So for people doing construction without permits, and also for construction on the weekends, on Sundays. And they red tagged a boat and trailer on Country Club Drive. Some of the other things that Code has done, they do their daily patrols on Front Street. They said there's many residents that are walking their dogs down Front Street still. They take, didn't happen this month, but they also take reports for animal bites. They've talked to several people for not having their dog on the leash. They said it's becoming a bigger issue again. They issued one admin site for animal at large. They collected multiple dead cats. And they have daily things. They check the animal shelter. They feed the cats at the daily shelter. They've also helped pick up a couple of dead birds and helped with the snake this month. Codas also went around town and talked to several homeowners and residents about hazards out on the street. Some weed abatement stuff, but stuff in front of the house where it does not make the sidewalk accessible. And do you have any other questions?
No, but that is so thorough. I'm so thankful because the people really need to know what Code does. They do an incredible job, and it's just the two of them, and then you got Jesse, of course, out at the boat, but it's
a thankless job.
it is a thankless job, and they're always busy and always helpful. So,
There's a few more things, but we'll go ahead and we'll pass that around to you later.
okay, yeah, I asked him about the deer too. I know last year they had a heck of a lot of deer, but they're not as many. But he says, like up on as you get higher up, Whitley, Marilla, and Descanso and all that. But they still have to deal with the deer as well. So they do an incredible job.
Yeah, they've had 5 calls for dead deer at random locations.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Thank you. Any questions of our chief? Okay. City manager report?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Most of my comments have been hit on. I do want to follow up with what Dave Hart said and thank a number of people, including Dave Hart and Jen Diaz, for what everything they did leading up to last weekend. So much work goes into that. I mean, what everybody sees down there right now looks beautiful, but so much work from Public Works, Jeffrey Hernandez, his crew, John Gilbert, like Dave said, goes into that. And I'd like to thank the fire department for delivering Santa Claus down there on the fire truck. They managed to get through there, dropped him off. Certainly thank the chamber for everything and their, not only their contribution to the event on Saturday, but their contribution to that Christmas tree that's down there. It's much appreciated. We look forward to already, as Dave said, that committee is working forward to next year. And it's not too early to start. We have to not only get these things in the budget by June, we have to, talking with Public Works, we don't have power everywhere down there. So if we're going to put something that's going to light up somewhere, we have to have that done by the summer. And what I am learning as I'm wrapping up my first year here is that there's a busy season with Public Works, and then there's a really busy season with Public Works. So we, I appreciate everything they're doing. Real quick, next week, we're going to have, as council knows, a special council meeting regarding vehicles. We've had a number of meetings internally discussing some options to bring to council. Our goal really is everything's on the table. Let's discuss all our options, see what we can do, see what we can make better, see what we need to change. One of the things that Chief didn't mention in the codes report, which I'm going to email this out to you, it's a 4-page report, Chief hit the highlights, is code estimates, and I asked him to give me a rough idea of what's out, how many illegal vehicles are out there. We know what we have stickered, but what else is out there? And they're estimating over 300.
Wow.
Either illegal, non-operative, or abandoned vehicles out there that we have to address. And I think that these, are the low-hanging fruit that we can start right away and start clearing these off the street, get those removed. I think it makes everything open up much more, makes everything else a little bit easier of what we're trying to accomplish here. So I will send this full report out to council. Like I said, it's 4 pages. They're going to report out monthly. And we will have that, make arrangements to also have that available at a location on the website.
Great.
Any questions?
No.
Thank you.
City Attorney?
Just to note that item number 8 on the agenda is something that is required by the state. We'll be bringing many more in the next couple months. State's legislature is now done and has said we have certain laws that you have to pass by July 1st. And so this is the first one.
Oh, it's the first of many. Okay, great, thank you. Council member reports.
I'll go first. For those who don't know, Estelle McEwen was my mom. Has been here on the island for over 30 years and passed away on November 21st. And thank you all for reaching out and messaging us. Family greatly appreciates it. And I am doing what she requested of me, to be here to look out for the town. She actually made that request, so, but thank you.
Okay.
All right, I don't have much, but I did have a meeting with Mr. Peters from Long Beach YMCA. I know Dave recently visited and was able to get me in contact with him, and Herlinda Chico also helped me. But it was a great Zoom meeting. I learned a lot of resources that they offer Long Beach. They're gonna do their best to help us either share resources or help show us the process on how they get it for their town. And of course that includes grants, because all the resources that they have for their community is free of charge. Wow. And that was the best thing, but again, it's all grant-based, so that's gonna be a lot of work for us. So I'm excited to get started on that, and next meeting, Dave, I would love for you to be included. And another thing that I discussed with them about was getting more data of our community, because we're gonna have to prove that we need those grants. And I know that we're gonna need to do surveys and, ask a lot of our community, and a lot of people may not be comfortable with that, but we're gonna have to do it to get this money. And I know that's something that we were looking to do in anyways for Edison.
Yeah. Right.
So, if that's something we could, push forward, because I would love to get this done. And then another thing that I'm doing is I officially registered, thank you to Devin and all the ladies back there, registered for the League of California Cities annual conference, February 1st.
So attended the marketing conference since we last met with Love Catalina, and was really proud of the fact that all of our council actually attended and went for that. I thought that was great this year, so thank you guys for making the time to do that. I hope it was informative, and if you have questions, I know Michael is available to answer questions. I'm happy to help out too, just because I kind of live in that world, but was well attended and well presented, and some interesting data was shared, which I really liked a lot. Attended the Christmas committee meeting yesterday, and am attending for the first time in person since COVID started, the Gateway Cities COG meeting tomorrow over town. So we'll have hopefully some info to report back on that. And otherwise, just wanted to highlight, I was out doing some pics for my regular job, and a resident who is here part-time now came back and said, hey, I just wanted to let you know last year I came into town and I was a little disappointed. It felt like it needed some love and some work. And we came into town this week, and she said, I can tell on almost every block that there's work that's been done, that there's improvements that have been made, that city property looks amazing, that it's making the businesses and residents do the same for their properties too. So I just wanted to give a shout out to you and the crew to say thank you guys, Harbor as well. She noticed it and made a point of saying so. And that's, I think, possibly the first time I've had someone give a compliment when they ask me about a city-related thing since I've started. So it's kind of cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you to that resident for that. And then just wanted to also highlight the Public Utilities Commission currently has public comment open, had one meeting yesterday and has another, has one on the 6th and the 8th. So it was actually happening right now while we're on the call. And then on the 8th, on Thursday, there's public hearings regarding quality of cellular and broadband internet and phone service. It's primarily based on phones. So AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, Catalina Broadband, Lockett, Avalon Homes, whatever service you're using. If you would like to provide feedback or comment on how your service is, you should go to the CPUC's website and can find, it's one of the top items on the docket, and post a public comment about that and how your level of service is. Is it consistent? Is it clear and easy to use? And how the pricing is and your access to it. They'll be doing public comment, I believe, through the end of this month on that topic, but you can either do it in person over the phone on the 8th at that meeting, or you can do it in online if you prefer to, as long as your internet is working.
Good.
Hi. I don't have a lot. I do have a lot of irons in the fire, but I don't feel comfortable expounding on stuff right at this because it's still at the very infant stage. But I have some really good ideas that are happening, and I've discussed with various people, and it feels like they're going to have some wheels under them. So I'm excited about that, and I'll report back later. So look forward to that. I did the chamber meeting too, and the Christmas committee. That's really fun. I'm so excited about it. I think it's a great concept for getting people here in the off season. You know, a part of the year that's, you know, not really crazy, but it's just going to be awesome. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, mark your calendar. I'm going to have to miss the next city council meeting because we're doing a Christmas story in the casino. So that'll be December 18, 19, and 20. So mark your calendars.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you.
Participated in a lot of the stuff that everybody else is talking about, and they've all been fun. But the Friendsgiving dinner up at Tremont was very cute and very cold up at Tremont Hall. But it was like 12 of us, and it was a lot of fun. We had a little craft, and people bought food. So anyway, thank you, and Tricia, who worked her butt off for that, and the people who brought the goodies. So anyway. Okay. Let's move on to oral communication. This is an opportunity for people in the audience to speak on items that are not on the agenda. You will be limited to 2 minutes, and no action will be taken. So for those of you that might be coming to talk about trash, that will be that separate item. Okay. It won't be now at this oral communication. It's going to be with Edison's presentation that comes up next. Okay.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. My name is Bryce, and I come to you as the chair of Love Catalina Island. I'm here because there are some members of the community that want to get a better understanding of what it is Love Catalina does, why it's important. So in an effort to provide information and transparency as to what is going on with the Chamber and Love Catalina, I will be up here for 3 minutes for as long as my term extends. I will give you a couple of tidbits. One is that my term only goes to July, so it would be unreasonable of me at this time to expect my successor to get up here in front of you every month, but I will be here for the duration. Also, it is a volunteer position. My job is mostly to do policy, so I don't come to you as an employee. And if there are some questions that I might get asked that I will not be able to answer, I'll have to come back to you. So, as my first update, some of you have already talked about the annual marketing conference. I was very happy to see all of you up there, and it was a really amazing presentation. I think my greatest takeaway for the folks in the audience is we did a test study of a targeted marketing campaign that in conjunction with Epsilon Conversant, we're able to do targeting marketing that was able to tell whether somebody clicked through and then use their credit card information that they have provided on social media to dictate and determine where they spent money in this town. And why that's so exciting to me is because marketing has always been this pseudoscience of, do we actually know where the money gets spent and is it actually worth it? And this way we were actually, for the first time ever, able to prove that when we spend marketing dollars, that literally translates into money going into the hands of business owners and employees, turning into tax revenue. So it's proving that it's good for us. It also allows us to target specific demographics because we can see who comes here and who is spending money and who's coming here and just taking up space. Not that we don't enjoy everyone coming here, but from a marketing standpoint, we do want to market for things that are going to be a good return on our investment. Love Catalina has launched its winter campaigns, promoting the best of winter boat and lodging packages, holidays, events, and holiday shopping. Jim just worked to relaunch the 24/7 webcam with higher definition capture of images and videos, where residents and visitors can not only see Avalon, but download the images for their own use and sharing from the webcam link on lovecatalina.com. And then everyone has talked about it, but Love Catalina hosted Shop Catalina, and on top of everything, all the great things that you guys said, we did have 31 businesses that participated, which is a nice high number. And top of the collaborations that you guys mentioned before, we also had the Avalon Rotary Club and the Catalina Saddle Club. And we had live coverage by KTLA in the morning.
Oh, yes, I heard that too. Yeah. Great.
you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we have some presentations.
Mayor Marshall, I have one oral communication.
Oh, sorry.
It's from Jim Luchahan, the president and CEO of Love Catalina. Mayor and council members, on behalf of Love Catalina Island, I would like to thank the many hardworking members of our community who came together to make the 29th annual Shop Catalina events successful. We are indebted to many city staff members, including but not limited to Public Works, Recreation, and Avalon Fire Department, as well as to you, Mayor, for joining us in costume at Wrigley Stage. I must also acknowledge the over 30 businesses and nonprofits who participated in this year's events, as well as the jingle singers who traveled to the island to add some holiday caroling cheer. KISL added music, and the city's new tree, and of course Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus, made it another great year of kicking off the holiday season on Catalina Island. Thank you all. We are looking forward to the next year's 30th annual Shop Catalina events.
Thank you. Okay. We have presentations. Southern California Edison. Oh. Is she coming on the business day?
I believe so. We're waiting
Oh,
to see
Tracy?
if they join us. Here we go.
So do I have to recuse myself on this?
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, my God, yes. That was working.
Am I getting feedback?
I think we're just going to receive this information.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Tracy, thank you.
Okay, are you ready?
Ready.
All right, good evening, council members and Mayor Marshall. My name is Tracy Degnan. I'm from Southern California Edison, and I'll be presenting our annual gas safety presentation. Okay, next slide. So as most of you know, here on Catalina, SE not only delivers electricity, but we also provide the water and gas utilities as well. So tonight I just wanted to talk about a few gas safety tips and reminders. Next slide. On Catalina, we deliver a propane air mixture that is designed to mimic natural gas It is delivered on a pipeline system that is installed, tested, and operated and maintained according to strict standards and guidelines used by SCE and required by local, state, and federal agencies. SCE conducts routine patrols, visual ground inspections, and also has a cathodic protection installed to prevent rusting and corrosion on our pipelines. Because of these things, system failures on the gas system are very rare. Okay, next slide. So the propane gas system consists of two types of pipelines. We have mains and service lines. The mains are the larger pipelines that carry the propane from the plant out to the service areas. In some areas, the main pipeline may be marked by signs that contain general location and contact information. The service lines are the pipelines that run underground from those mains to the meters and your homes and businesses. Okay, next slide. So because most of our pipeline is underground, it's very important that you call Dig Alert prior to conducting any digging activities. This includes projects on your own property. So if you're planning to start a project, you must call 811 2 full working days prior to digging to allow SCE personnel to come out and mark the pipeline route for you. It's very important to know where your pipeline route runs through your property so you could avoid building any structures over the top or planting any trees. When you are digging, excavation must be done with hand tools until the gas line is found. If you accidentally hit a pipeline, please call SCE immediately at our 800 number so that we can come out and inspect the pipeline for any damage. Okay, next slide. So this slide shows where SCE responsibilities end and where the customer responsibilities begin. All piping from the gas meter to the residence or business is the responsibility of the customer. So it's important to have your piping inspected periodically for corrosion or leaks and make repairs if any unsafe conditions are discovered. Okay, next slide. It's also important to have your appliances tested regularly. With cooler temperatures here, now is a good time to check furnaces and other gas appliances prior to turning them on for the winter. There are local plumbers who can assist in inspecting and making repairs if needed. Again, pipeline routes and meters must be kept clear of any structures and other obstructions. Okay. So how to recognize a propane gas leak? Propane is a colorless and odorless gas. A chemical odorant called mercaptan is added to help people identify gas leaks. Some say it smells like sulfur or rotten eggs. Other ways you may be able to detect a gas leak is by a white cloud, a hissing noise, a frozen area around the piping, bubbling if it's underwater, and of course, if there's flames coming from your pipe, there's a good indication that you might have a leak. Propane is different than gas. It's heavier than air, so it tends to settle lower in levels of buildings. So you may notice that smell is like closer to the ground. Okay, next slide. So if you do suspect a leak, you want to get out of the area immediately and warn others to stay away. Do not open your doors and windows, just get out to a safe location. If you're already outside, move into the wind and away from the gas. Eliminate any ignition sources such as phones, lighters, motors, electrical switches, etc. And do not try to turn off any of the equipment. Okay, next slide. So once you're in a safe place, you're going to want to call 911, and then you could also call SCE to provide a description of the leak and its location if possible. And then the last slide. So if you have any questions, please call SCE at our 1-800 number that's on the page here. And you could also visit our website at SCE.com/Catalina. That 800 number and the website with the /Catalina will take you directly to Catalina related operators and information. So that is all I have for tonight. Do you have any questions?
We won't have any questions because Mary's in the room.
If you have questions, I'll leave.
Does anybody have questions?
Perfect.
Are we good?
All right, thank you.
Tracy, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
his
I
fault.
will give a tip that I learned this week, that if you are calling that number, just make sure that you're doing it during business hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Otherwise, it will not go to the right people, and you will suffer in, just tough times
Okay.
for a long
In
time.
cyberspace
In-
somewhere.
Right, in the cycle of the things.
All righty. Now we have another presentation from Avalon Environmental.
I bring goodies.
You
Good
bring
evening.
garbage.
Yes, I have. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Julie Beretta. I'm the Regional Vice President for Avalon Environmental Services /CR&R. And I'm here tonight just to give an update on the recent changes to trash collection service on the island. So some of the topics I'm going to cover is just to reintroduce and restate Senate Bill 1383, give you an update on what's been happening with the recycling and organics collection, some examples of what goes where, meaning what goes into each cart, discuss the cart labels that will be rolled out soon within the next 3 months, give an overview of what happens to the recycling after we pick it up, and then some next steps that we're required to do to meet the state requirements. So, as I mentioned before, in 2016, Governor Brown approved Senate Bill 1383, which required all cities to reduce the amount of organics that go to the landfill by 75% by January 2025. In addition, this law also sets a target that we need to recover 20% of edible food that's going to the landfill. So the reality of that is everything we scrape off our plates that goes into the trash is no longer supposed to go into the trash. It needs to be recycled. Cities are required statewide to provide organic waste collection to all residents and businesses. The law also regulates maximum levels of contamination found in each waste recycling stream. So meaning and ensuring that the right commodity or the right material is placed into your black container, your recycle container, or your organics container. And then the law also requires that the city does random audits of residential and commercial properties annually, which Avalon Environmental is doing that for the city, on the city's behalf. So some environmental benefits of why this law was created is that food scraps and green waste produce methane, which is 84 times more potent than carbon dioxide. They're also using this legislation to also help combat greenhouse gas emissions and climate change, global warming, as we hear quite often on the news. It also requires monitoring of items sent to the landfill through facility audits. So the local enforcement agencies go to any waste hauler that has their own facilities or landfills, and they conduct their own audits from the LEA, and then they report directly back to the state. And they're basically looking through the materials and then what your process is and making sure it's being sorted and handled appropriately. And then, of course, I think the biggest thing specifically for the city of Avalon is the last component, which is the more we pull out of the trash will produce more life to the landfill for future generations. As we've talked about in the past, the landfill today has about 7 years of life left. And we have some proposals, and we're going to set up some future meetings. I met with Dave and Denise earlier today. We're going to set up some future meetings. We have contracted and looked at some additional things we can do at the landfill as far as building a wall that could increase the landfill life 25 years. So those are the next steps. But every bit we pull out and recycle could help a year or two of life in the landfill, even without building a big wall for expansion. So it's really important, and now it's the law.
And who is our local LEA? Is that you doing your own audits or what?
So the cities are required, this is so funny, the cities are required to do all the audits, but most haulers statewide are the ones doing the audits for the city. So when we say randomly do audits, It'll be me and a sustainability rep walking up and down the streets, what we refer to as lid flipping, with trash pickers kind of looking around, and we'd leave, and I'm gonna cover it later, but we'd leave a friendly card on the tag that says, hey, we've identified there's stuff in the container that shouldn't be here, look at the back side, here's where
Okay.
the stuff should go. So that's really what it is, and the state requires that you document how many homes you go to, how many tags you left, what was the percentage of contamination, all of that's required with this new law.
How often do you do those audits?
So it's only required once a year, but I was having the conversation, I think because this is so new and it's a big change to the residents, that I'm gonna try to do them once a quarter. Just to do, it's really all about education, is really the purpose of it. It's educating people. It's not to say gotcha. It's really more about educating folks on, hey, you're putting this in the wrong container.
Right.
So our goal is to do it once a quarter. So moving into the next slide about rolling out recycling and organics. So we mailed out postcards in October. We've received to date 254 responses. And we had just I put together a summary. We had 18 residents request new trash carts. We had 110 recycle carts, 85 organics carts, and 344 pails have been requested to date. And then, as everyone's aware, we also made a change to the collection days. So in the past, everything went into the same truck. That is no longer allowed with this new legislation. It's not because Avalon Environmental didn't want to do it. It's not because the city didn't want to do it. The state now requires it, that everything has to be separated into a separate container. So with that, if your service days were previously on Mondays and Thursdays, Monday is now your trash day, Thursday is now your recycling and organics collection, and then same for if your trash day was your service days were Tuesday and Friday, trash collection is on Tuesday, and your recycling and organics collection is on Friday. And on this, I did get a question. I believe we had a resident reach out to the council, so I wanted to clarify. There was a concern or question asked about the organic pails being dumped into a plastic bag hanging on the side of the truck. And so I've been here all day today. I've been out on the routes with the drivers and met with Carmelo, our supervisor, and he had shared with me, especially on some of the narrow alleys, but other places as well. On Thursdays and Fridays, the recycle driver goes through first, and he dumps the recycling carts first. If they're going down a street and they notice that nobody has an organic cart out, a lot of people just have pails. Rather than send the truck through again, they have plastic bags on the vehicle, and they're dumping the pails just into those bags, and those are taken back to the facility and kept separate. And I have photos that I'm gonna share with you later in the presentation. But I know that came up, so I wanna make sure it was very clear that, but if they do see carts, that truck is running through a separate time, and they're dumping the green waste carts into the truck.
And are those bags on the side of the truck indeed plastic, or are they biodegradable?
Oh, we have biodegradable bags.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So I did want to cover that because I know that was a question that came up, so I wanted to cover that.
And before you go to the next slide, I have a couple
Yes.
questions. So, okay, you only got 254 responses. How many businesses and places do you actually pick up? What's the total number?
So this was mostly all residential and multifamily properties.
But how many are there total that you picked up?
1,300.
Okay, so that's not a very good response rate.
No, and we'll cover that later about more people. Even today, I was at the landfill for 3 hours in between my meeting with the city and coming back today, and she took 6 calls. So I have to say, it seems like the word is getting out, and every day more, and every single day we get calls for people saying, hey, can I get my recycling carts and my pails?
Okay,
So
good.
we are, it's not stopped. We
Yeah,
are seeing traction, which is a good thing.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Okay.
So what goes where? So we did send out a letter with a flyer. It was in English and Spanish, trying to just, because this is new, breaking it down by the color of the lids, what goes into each container. And that's where I brought my bag of recyclables, and this is a bag that I take on the road quite often when I meet with council, so the public can see it as well and understand. So really want to focus on the recycling more today, because I think that's the recycling, the trash, were mostly being mixed together. So plastic bottles, plastic and glass bottles and jars, any kind of tin cans, aluminum cans, cardboard, paper, if anyone still gets a newspaper, all of that goes into the recycling container. And then in the organics container, we've kind of covered this, so I won't go over all the details, but food scraps, again, going back to some questions that I've received, want to confirm raw meat and bones are considered, are part of food scraps. Of course, your produce, your vegetables.
Wait, bones are not food
Bones
scraps?
are included.
Oh, all right.
Yes, raw meat and bones. Soiled paper plates and cups. One thing that was new, that I wanted to make sure it was clear, fats, oils, and grease. So a lot of people in the past, when you're cooking bacon or anything that you have leftover grease, frying tortilla shells or something like that, you always put it in the freezer, you let it solidify, and then you put it in the trash. Well, we want that in the organics. That is good part of fats for the composting process. So again, this is not for businesses, it's for residents. Smaller quantities. We have a separate program to pick up grease from businesses. So we want to make it clear that for this, we're speaking specifically to residents that we will take your fats, oils, and grease. And the biggest change is pizza boxes. So in the past, at one time, we were allowed to recycle pizza boxes. And then when the recycling laws changed and our export countries, whether it was Asia, Vietnam, China, said, wait a minute, the recycling's too dirty, no more pizza boxes.
Right.
Well, now that is considered food soiled paper. And the great thing about it is if you don't eat all the pizza, you don't have to worry about it. You just throw the whole thing in. So the only challenge I thought about, though, is folks with pails. It's gonna be hard to get a pizza box in a pail.
Yeah.
So if you have a pail, which I'll just speak specifically to Mary's property, if you have your pail, but you know you take it down or you have an organics cart, maybe you just carry your box with you until you get down to the location where the cart is if you live in a multifamily property. But I see that to be one little hindrance on if you have pizza boxes. That would be the one thing that's gonna have a hard time fitting into those pails. I didn't have it in my presentation, but I'm gonna touch on it real quick. We are still looking for locations for the recycling depot. So that would be the other option. If you have items, if the pail is all you have room for at your home, those pizza boxes or other items, maybe food soiled paper that won't fit into your pail, you could maybe walk those to the recycling depot. So we had another meeting, as I mentioned, with Dave and Denise this morning, and we're diligently looking for locations for the recycling depot that could take those bigger items. I also wanted to throw in at this time some tips on the organics. You can freeze your organics if that works for you. If you have your compostable bag in the freezer, if you have room for it, you can put your food scraps in there, put it in the freezer, and then on collection day, put it into your pail or your cart. That can help. It's cold now, but this is probably more for the summer tips. And then the other tip for the summer is baking soda. Sprinkle baking soda in your pail or your organics cart will also help with odor control.
So let me ask you, so if I don't put you're telling me I need to put a compostable bag in my little, okay.
You do not have
If
to.
not, then these guys are gonna be there with a spatula slopping out the stuff?
They bang it on the side, it comes out. If you bang it on the side, it pretty much comes out. Yeah, but you're gonna have
Well, it's-
residue, so those pails are dishwasher safe. I think I covered that before. They are dishwasher safe.
got dishwasher.
And like I said, it's up to you however you wanna clean it in the sink. It's with dish soap. But like I said, in addition, you can sprinkle baking powder in there. That helps.
Quick question for the recycling depot. Are we still just looking for locations, or are we in the process at all for any locations?
We're still looking for locations. We came up with a couple ideas today, and they were gonna look at measurements and get back to me. So, yeah. Okay. So here are some actual pictures. The team is sending me pictures every single week, but I went ahead and shared just the ones from last week. So this is a picture of the organics from last Thursday, and we get a lot of yard trimmings, which is great, leaves. There's a Vaughn's paper bag, which is great, that's compostable. I can see that we have some compostable bags in the picture that you could visibly see the fruit, but the black bags or a Trader Joe's canvas bag is not organic material.
And let me ask, I also see a sandal in there, and you used to say we could put clothing in the trash.
Clothing still goes in the trash, but right now we don't have a textile recycling program.
So, so what should people do?
Well, this
Because
is,
they're gonna-
this is organics. That's what she's pointing
This is
out.
organic. So you're right, that shoe shouldn't be in there.
Yeah,
That's
it shouldn't be in
I
there.
know,
yeah.
but that shouldn't be there.
No.
But, so then I asked about, okay. Well,
So it goes
if
in
we-
the black one.
It goes in the regular, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then you don't want a whole bunch of clothes because you're not doing that, you said.
They just go to the landfill.
Yes.
They just go to
So
landfill.
then what do people do with their stuff, I guess is my question, if we don't want to put it
But
in
right
the
now, there's no
landfill.
program for that.
There should be one. We should
Yeah.
have
There's
one.
I
some-
know.
So that we can add that to a future conversation. So then this was Fridays, pretty similar. Again, a lot of yard trimmings, leaves. You could see the loose produce around, which is great. So those are some folks that are doing it, not bagging it. But then again, we had some black bags. There's a 32-gallon black barrel in there and some plastic bottles. So again, I think this just, as we talked about, goes back to education and outreach. And then the recycling efforts. We get a ton of cardboard. So everyone does a great job about cardboard. See some plastic bottles, aluminum cans, paper bags, but there's a lot of white bags, and if you looked at them up close, they look like they're general trash. It's not white bags with recycling, and then there's a broom in there. And so before I go to the next slide that talks about what happens to the recycling after we take it, I wanted to just share some examples. So some of the things, especially with Christmas coming up, wrapping paper is recyclable, so make sure you recycle your wrapping paper. Things that people don't think about, aerosol cans. As long as they're empty, recyclable. This goes into your recycling container. So any type of Lysol, cleaner, aerosol can, once it's empty, it is recyclable. Nowadays, a lot of stuff is plastic. Again, once it's empty, any plastic cleaning supplies. A lot of questions I get comes up about how much you have to clean recyclables. So this, I've been carrying this around probably for 2 months. I give it a little quick swig, but your tin cans, I do it for more so my recycle isn't smelly, but when you ship it to the export or the end market, when they bale them, they have a whole cleaning process. So it's good to give it a little rinse. They don't have to be washed with soap and water, and a lot of times people, I find, don't recycle because they don't want to have to clean it. The cleaning is not required, okay? Same thing with Thanksgiving. I saved my gravy jar. Have a couple more. Vitamin bottles or medication bottles, recyclable.
So the gravy jar you rinsed as well, so any jars with food in them,
Just
jam.
give it a swig. Yep, just give it a swig. It doesn't have to be clean, just a quick little rinse. I didn't rinse this in detail, so again, I bring this just to show you the sour cream, cottage cheese, butter, yogurts, all those containers are recyclable. And my morning, I just brought through this in this morning, my morning coffee. Okay, so those are all recyclable items. And here's one perfect example. This is my garlic left over. There's still some in there. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But a couple of the things I wanted to share that get confusing, and this is my non-recyclable material. This is trash.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, foil is not recyclable.
okay.
So I have my foil, plastic bags, not recyclable. Dog treat bags, cat treat bags, not recyclable. Those are trash. The produce bags that you put your produce in, not recyclable. And then Amazon, all of us, here's our Amazon packages. So I think what I wanted to share was, and it's confusing, all these items that I'm showing you have the recycle symbol. So they were made from recyclable material, but they're single use. So I think that's the hard thing as we go through this process and we try to educate people. I've been in this business for 35 years next year. That's all I know is trash and recycling. And I was sharing with Dave and Denise this morning that I wish they would change the symbol on post-consumer or single use, because we recycle, the thing was always 1 through 7. So if it's got a 1 through 7 and the little plastic below it, you throw it in your recycling. Well, some of these packages have 1 through 7 also. So that's where it gets confusing.
Yeah.
And how about the coated, like, milk and juice cartons?
The ones that are waxed?
Yeah,
No.
Not
But the
recycled.
jugs are good.
Ralph, yeah.
So the jugs are okay, but those waxed orange juice or even the smaller milk ones, those are not, the wax is not recyclable.
And I still get questions about the Keurig coffee pods. Are can
Those are
those
not-
go in the pail?
No, those are not recyclable because of the plastic.
Got it.
Yes,
And then same thing for creamers, creamer packets, the little.
those little creamer packets are trash.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then a lot of restaurants, there's a handful of restaurants that use full paper to-go containers. There's a number that use compostable. Can the compostable go in with the organics?
Yes,
Does-
they do.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
So both of those can go, every
Both of
to-go
those
container can go into
Really
organics.
encourage, I mean, I hate to say this, but there might be a time, specifically in California, where they may ban styrofoam altogether, or polystyrene,
yeah,
styrofoam's a brand,
we
I
don't-
should say polystyrene, that they might ban it altogether because that has to go to the landfill. And a lot of to-go places are styrofoam.
That's already the case for us here.
So,
Well, I don't understand why the government is getting onto the manufacturers, because that's where it
I
starts.
agree.
And I don't know
Totally
if
agree.
cities can get involved and say, you know, like I'm thinking of those little things now that all the kids are sucking on.
Yes.
With the little plastic, and I don't think those are
No,
recyclable.
those are all
And,
trash.
and they're expensive and they're selling the hell out of them, and it's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. you
I'm
know?
with you. I'm with you.
Yeah. And then the diaper thing, we'll never have that solved, right? Diapers.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Are you
Anyway.
wearing, are you using cloth on yours?
Oh, no. That's the old days. No one does
I
that.
know.
That's what we had, but anyway. So cart labels, as I mentioned, this is just a picture. So all of the new carts that were delivered have these labels, but we, surprisingly, was great through this process. Even on people's cards, they handwrite, can I get a new trash can, or my labels are faded. And so Carmela will be going in over the next 3 months as they're out on the routes. If they notice the labels are faded or they don't have the right ones, or Denise had mentioned today, her label still said textiles, that we'll be replacing them, so it's very clear. And as you can see from the new ones, they also have pictures.
Are they still coming in the 2 different sizes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and that's the other thing too, and I want to share for the folks watching at home and here, we are getting a lot of calls, and as a matter of fact, we have a barge coming over on the 14th, and we ordered 65-gallon recycle carts. So there are some people that have said, hey, I think we need bigger recycle carts, so I did order some to come over on the 14th.
Really?
So we
Wow.
are getting bigger ones for those that want to have bigger carts.
So, just one, on that last slide, you know my complex.
Yes.
So, my landlord decided not to get the rolling carts that you guys provide. Is it possible to get those stickers just so we can slap them on the round ones that he has in there?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, so I would just call up there and say, hey, can I have some stickers,
Yeah.
Carmel? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
We'll have them drop off. So this image, I just wanted to share with the group what happens when recyclables leave. So recyclables are going to be shipped, and actually we have our first load. I'm very excited. Our load of recyclables are going back on the barge. After it's delivered on the 14th, it's going back. I was there at the yard today. We've got 8 bales. The bales are 1,000 pounds each of recyclables. So what happens is they're shipped over on the barge back to our CR&R Avalon Environmental's facility, material recovery facility, also known as a MRF. And that's actually where my office is housed, next door to the recycling facility. And that's where all the recycling will be processed. So if you see at the top right picture, that's our actual sort line, where the materials are dumped at the bottom of the conveyor belt. They go up the sort line, and we have technology and manpower that pulls the items off into bunkers below. Once it falls below into the bunkers, and the trash stays on the conveyor and goes to the end and falls off into dumpsters, and those are taken to the landfill. So once the recycling goes into the bunkers, the next slide below is we bale the material. So you'll see bales of plastics, behind it's bales of aluminum, and once the commodities are baled, they're sent to, we export a lot of recycling still to China, Vietnam, India. Some stays in the United States, wherever they'll take it, and then it's made into new recyclable products, such as, plastics. I just gave the example. There's a lot of tennis shoes made with a lot of plastic material, t-shirts, picnic benches, and other. So that's the process. There's a lot of videos that you can find on YouTube. If you key in MRF, and it kind of shows the process. But I wanted to share that with you, and like I said, I was excited to see today at our facility here at Pebbly Beach, we've got 8 bales ready. By the 17th, I'm sure we'll probably have 2 or 3 more. And they're dirty, but we'll take them across this process. As you saw the stuff I mentioned with the bags, when they bale, the bags break, but some of that trash is gonna be in there. So once we process it, it goes across this sort line, all that stuff will come out.
So you're actually ripping the bags open, and you have guys
Yes.
up there now sorting? Because that has not
No,
been
we
done.
can't sort anything here. We have to take it back. So with 1383, with the new laws, there's also other facility inspections if we were to sort any material, so we can't touch it. We basically dump it on the ground, we bale it, and it'll be processed and gone through. So the bags will break when we bale it. But we're not sorting anything here at this facility. Everything's going to the mainland.
Wow, okay. Okay.
Okay. So here are the next steps. As with any new program, any changes, we're going to continue to educate residents on the collection day changes and how to separate waste into the proper carts. Residents, as I mentioned, can still call, and they are, to order their recycling, organics or pail. As I mentioned, we're going to start doing auditing in Q1 of 2023, which goes into all this tracking that we're required to do. And to the right, I have a picture. That was my original, but here's the final picture that I shared that shows, that you see on the screen, that if someone puts out, let's just say it's on Monday or Tuesday, and someone has their recycle or their organics card out, the driver's going to check the box that says that your card is out on the wrong service day, and it won't be picked up until, so example, if someone puts out the recycling or organics on Monday or Tuesday, they're going to put a tag on it, but it's not going to be picked up till Thursday or Friday. And then vice versa, on Thursday or Friday, which are the recycle days, if someone puts their trash cart out, they'll put the tag on the trash cart and mark the box that your trash is put out on the wrong day, and it'll be picked up on whatever the day is, Monday or Tuesday. So again, this is all about educating. One of the other things on this is about contamination. And as I mentioned earlier, it's about education. So if the recycling cart looks to appear that they're using it for another trash cart, and it's just full of all trash and no recycling, they'll check the box that says refer to the back side of this card. They'll do it 2 or 3 times, but after that, they'll tag it and it won't be picked up. And the resident will have to sort out the materials and put them into the right containers. Come 2024, the state is requiring cities to enforce this thing, which also would include coming to possible contamination fees. And again, the cities, if they don't comply and make sure they're enforcing and monitoring, the cities could be fined by the state. So it's change, and I know change is hard, but it's unfortunately something that the state is regulating, and we're just going to do our best to get through it and, again, keep educating folks.
What, dog poop?
Trash.
Trash. Okay. All right.
A lot of people think it's, even on the mainland, they think it's organic material. No, trash.
Okay.
Does not go in the green waste.
Okay.
Right. And that's all I have.
Oh, I've got questions. So, and I think somebody's problem was solved already, but I've been getting numerous contacts by different people, a couple of them I think are in the room, about those areas that are heavily impacted. Bahia Vista, for example, was the one that came up.
Yes.
And, but then you have Sol Vista as well. You have Carlos, who lives up on a hill, and there's a lot of little houses and little, units. And that the one pickup a week for trash is just not enough. It's not enough even at my house. And there's only 2 of us to wait a whole week. It doesn't work. And now we're in the slow season. And once all these vacation rentals start getting filled up again, and Hamilton Cove and all of that, I don't know if you've been discussing this and how that's going to be resolved, because we're already seeing ravens, we're already seeing trash on the streets, we're already seeing problems.
Yeah, and I was going to go there too. I know that this program is very, very new, but do you have any sense of the recycle days? How busy are the guys? Are they, just like, oh, we're done, half day, Could they go around and pick up trash?
Well, they could, but what's going to happen is the state's going to look at diversion numbers by jurisdiction, and if they don't see any decrease, that's when the enforcement could come down. I will tell you today, so we had 2 loads, so the drivers pick up 2 loads today, on Tuesday. I have photos on my phone, and the amount of recyclables that are in the trash loads is unbelievable. They're
Good or
full-
bad? Good or bad? Positive or
It's,
negative?
It's bad. They're full.
Okay.
The trash load is full of recyclables. Cardboard, milk jugs, cans, bottles. It's a lot.
So you're saying if we did it properly, if people sorted properly, then one day
It could
of
help.
picking up trash would be sufficient.
And again,
although-
I don't know with my help today that if I showed some examples of folks that people don't, I know, trust me, we're having the same issue on the mainland when it comes to multifamily. Struggling, getting the residents to participate, to get on board. It's something that every city is struggling with right now.
Well, and I think to be fair, I consider myself generally well informed because we're here at the meetings with you. I was unclear of when this was starting until we got a tag that said, we're not picking up your trash because you didn't separate. Thank you for the heads up. Thanks
Oh,
for the
already?
warning. Never got a postcard. Got this a week later in the mail. So it was a little frustrating on that side of it. And I think that's where a lot of people are right now is they were not aware that it was officially starting. They were not aware that it was time to now do that and make those changes. They never got a postcard to be able to request it as the numbers show.
Sure.
I think I'm a little bit frustrated, and you might hear it in my voice, and I apologize, but we had asked for an education campaign, and I've gotten a piece of paper after it started. So I think that that's where everyone is kind of sitting right now, is trying to get on board, which is great that you're getting calls now, but it does not feel like everyone was well educated ahead of time. It feels like we're catching up, and I know that that takes time. So I don't know how we do more than just a mailing if it's something that literally is checking on individual households, making sure they have enough coverage and space. If you have the crew to do that, I don't know if we need to have a volunteer team go out with you and do that to help out with the volume. But something to make it so that people understand and can ask the questions that we're asking tonight. I'll definitely share this. If we can have this portion of the meeting made into an individual YouTube video that we can then share online, I think that would be beneficial. And I don't know if we can actually also potentially have someone translate it into Spanish so we can do that too. But with both English and Spanish subtitles, that would be amazing. But I think that's kind of where you're seeing some of that, is that a lot of people are still extremely unaware. They're not focusing on watching these meetings with us. And if they didn't get this in the mail by chance, which it sounds like a lot of people did not, that's why you're seeing that, I think, so.
And vacation rental owners that are not on the island aren't getting this information. So I've had people who have contacted me about their trash not being picked up. But yeah, they had no idea the change in what was going on.
I will share just some additional conversations we had today. For one, I will also share my frustration and shock, I guess I'll say, about the letter. So when I met with Dave and Denise, they said, we just got the letter. I said, that letter was mailed a month ago. So I sent the information earlier to Dave and Denise, and we dropped it at the post office on November 9th. So it was very shocking to see that people are just getting the letter, or they haven't got it, and it was dropped at the post office on November 9th.
Well, I never even got the letter I never even got the postcard.
Yeah, and everything was mailed to P.O. boxes.
Yeah, and
So I don't know, so we talked about that a little bit, about having a conversation. So I know, Dave, you're going to share a couple things. I will talk about, I had offered today, I'd like to do some town hall meetings here at the council chambers, specifically for any residents that want to come, or the multifamily folks to come in, so we can kind of walk through the process and give ideas on how to help or answer questions or comply. So we talked about doing those, maybe one in January and one, if we have to do them every month, I'll come every month, that's fine.
You might need to do them like at the Catholic Church or something, because people don't come out. And I don't know if you speak Spanish, but if somebody could, translate into Spanish after the Spanish Mass or something, might be helpful, because that's where a lot of people are.
We also have some YouTube videos, but we don't have them in Spanish. Yeah, so I'm gonna get the YouTube videos. We have a couple YouTube videos on showing kind of how to use the kitchen pail already, and I was gonna send those to Dave, but I need to have it translated into Spanish.
And we can put them on we can put on cable TV and
Yes.
on all the other stuff. Okay, did we gonna say
My
something?
question was regarding the apartment complex dumpsters. For example, I live right across the street at the Tremont Apartments, and we don't have anything. It's all just two big bins.
Same with me. I live at Eucalyptus, and it's just the 3 bins. We do have the composting trash can there, which people think is the recyclable, and they're throwing things into that. But yeah, the dumpsters. Is there a plan to?
What I asked the staff for earlier is if they could give me an address and maybe property manager contact for every multifamily property, that I could do personal visits and go out and do site surveys and meet with them. We have, I think it's 28 sustainability reps, and they've said they could give me as many as they want, and we can blitz the city, for better words, going through and looking on trash day to see what they have and give alternatives and ideas. So that is definitely the plan, but it would help if I had the list to start out with, so I can do
Yeah.
some proactive outreach, saying, hey, here's the new program, because everyone is required to participate.
And how many dump trucks do you have on the island?
3.
And they're all operable?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And did you find somebody to work in the office?
We did. She
Okay.
started on November 21st.
Is it somebody from Avalon or somebody?
Yes, someone from Avalon,
Oh,
yes.
and who is that?
Her name is Dolores Connor.
Okay.
Or Dee Dee. She goes by Dee Dee. So she started on the 21st, spent some time with her today, kind of going over some of this stuff, at least my role on the service. But yeah, so she's doing well.
You didn't scare her, did you?
I hope not.
Okay. Okay. If there are more questions, I know there's at least couple people in the audience that would like to question or state their concern or whatever. Or frustration.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carlos Cubillo, 319 Whitley. First of all, I'd like to really thank the trash crew workers because they're really doing a good job. They really get all the complaints, and you know, it's not the way it really is supposed to be. But anyway, I want to thank them. And maybe you have a chance, thank them too, because they go through a lot. They go through a lot of trash. But anyway, the recycling is mandated by the state, and we are gonna be more than happier to comply because we really need to work on it. We all doing our best. Maybe we need to work a little longer. If the problem is that people don't do the recycle because they don't know it, I think it'll be easy and beneficial if if you have a sticker showing the products and put it where it belongs.
Yeah.
Okay, then that way you know that it's gonna be going exactly where it belongs. If you can send 20 million letters, people forget. But if they're gonna bring the trash and they see it, they're likely to put it where it belongs. My opinion.
And they
But
are
anyway,
gonna have stickers with those.
Yeah,
with those
yeah, if
things
you
on
put
them.
the sticker with the picture of the
Yeah,
items that
they
go
have
there,
that. Yeah.
you're not gonna go wrong. You know, that's where it goes. The recycling situation is mandated, is needed. Unfortunately, the scheduling is not. We're having 2 days on weekly. We have two days for collecting one is the trash and the other one is the recyclables.
Right.
Doesn't work out. We have buildings with more than 3 families, 4 or 5. I got 5. So everybody go pull the trash one day, fills up the whole thing. We're gonna have to wait for the next week to fill it up.
Right.
What's next to do? Well, put the bag out. You have to do something with the trash.
Yeah.
Then the birds come along.
Yeah.
And they have it everywhere. Okay, what's the problem here? It's not a recycling problem. The problem is the scheduling. Okay, now, we used to have 2 days. Tuesday and Fridays.
Right.
To pick up the trash. Okay, because of the food situation that is coming into effect, that we have to put it in a different container, it really, the dynamics of the whole thing changed only for one item, which is the food and the recycling that it already existed, right?
Right.
So the situation here is we're showing the pickup to for one more item that we are adding to it. The recycling program is not the issue. It's in effect already.
It's the trash.
So Carlos, could I ask you a question?
Yes.
So I know you're really familiar and tight with all of your tenants and all that kind of stuff. Have you ever noticed if they are putting if the trash bins are just as full as the recycle bins that were picked up on Tuesdays and Fridays?
In the past, and she probably knows it better than me, everybody pulled their recyclables in the container. Trash crew comes in, load it up, both of them. I don't know if they saw them over there, including the cardboard, okay? And that's how it was done in the past. Okay, now, this is an easy solution. We continue with a 2-day pickup and a truck behind it to pick up all the recyclables, including the food. And now we're not looking and paying attention to what's going on in the homes, because good amount of homes have garbage disposals. Okay, which helps somewhat of the problem. Okay, but yet the schedule of the trash pickup is the problem right now.
Yeah. Okay.
And you have multi-families units. All weekly, you can pick up any of the homes over there. None of them. I'm exaggerating. Maybe 10-15%. They're one unit only, one people living in it.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, and that is not only on weekly. That's all around the city.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to cut you off, just because we
Sure,
did four,
sure.
at least 4 minutes or 5 minutes, and
That is good.
But I definitely think Julie gets the concept of it. But the one thing that will change, if we could be assured, and this way we will, people said, what the hell, why do we bother? They're not separating anything, they're not doing anything, you're putting the garbage and the recycles and everything and throwing them into the landfill. So when they didn't feel, I heard that from a past employee that said the only thing that was being really recycled was the cardboard and the big item stuff. The rest was just being baled and put in the landfill. So I think that is changing, and I think that the confidence will be.
But that's part of your battle
like
too,
she said,
Julie.
is educating people, and by having the stickers, people see, and they will put it there. But if that was the past. The past is no longer working.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, what we need to focus on, have the two schedules to pick up the trash, and another day, on the same day, to pick up all the recyclables.
She's hearing what you're saying, and I'm sure they're going to be watching that and seeing, and as the better we get separated, does it really make an impact on there be less stuff in there? I'm not sure of that either, but Julie's got it. And Carla.
And if you really would have put the sticker on it, people would have do. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your attention, and I hope I didn't stand it too long.
You did. And there's a gentleman in the back. Uh-huh.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, honorable council members. My name is Tom Houston, and I'm on the board over at Bahia Vista. And I don't want to bring up, a lot of stuff, but it's physically impossible. We'd love to take you on a tour over there and show you the situation that we're dealing with. And we just want to make sure there was a letter that we received.
Yeah.
And we're fine with that. If that's the way we want to go with it, we're fine with that. But we would also encourage getting a bigger bin. We'll put in into the garage for recycling.
Now, what was resolved? Are you aware of that? Didn't you? What happened?
Yes, Julie was copied on that. She's been involved in that.
And are you aware what they've done?
My understanding is I read an email from this young lady, and it's funny. I'm getting old because this didn't start in 2014. I was over in. I just remember I was in the president of the Chamber of Commerce in the city of Carson, in 1993, and that's when they first started rolling out the 25% reduction.
Wow.
And back then, we were concerned about a monopoly with only having 1 or 2 haulers because of the recording requirements. And so it seems like a long, long time ago.
It is.
Since we retired 10 years from working in Carson. But I appreciate your efforts on that, City Manager. I just want to, yeah, we're in good shape then. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Anybody else want to talk on this, or is there anybody?
I have 2 comments that we received. The first is from Julie Fisher. She said, "Thank you for working to clarify the new rules for trash collection. I understand the new pickup dates, but some things are still not clear. Are the recyclables and kitchen scraps mixed in the same truck? If so, does it make sense to separate them before collection? Are we still supposed to use different colored trash bags for recycling? If so, where do we get them now that they aren't provided at City Hall? Thank you for any clarifications you can make from the community, and thank you for continuing to work to modernize our trash collection." Julie Fisher.
Did you want to respond to either of those?
I can start. I mean, Julie and I spoke
Okay.
earlier, one of the comments regarding the recyclables, if you have a paper grocery bag to put all your recyclables in and use that. We talked about having that as the primary bag for that.
For the recyclables.
For the recyclables, and that now I think it's already been clarified that the items are being separated, the organics and the recyclables are not being mixed together. So that is going on currently. I don't know if there's anything else, Julie, you needed to address.
The other comment came from Ray McEwen. "We are only given black garbage cans in Hamilton Cove. If we were given a different color garbage can for recyclable waste, I'm sure all of us would be happy to comply."
All they have to do is request them, right? Okay. All right.
And then if I could just add, and maybe Julie, there's been some conversation about the stickers on the cans. If there's any way that we could also get some at City Hall and have those available here for people, it might be easier for them to come here to get them. We're working on a trifold that will be available that also shows what goes in each container. But I do think that everybody likes the sticker idea, that if we can make that available and get them here, we'll make sure that information gets out.
The other thing I forgot to add, and I forgot to mention this when we met this morning, again, my also concerns with the mailings. So brochures available at City Hall, Chamber of Commerce, wherever we can put them that the public goes to, the library,
schools.
the schools, wherever we can put them. I'm also producing some magnets. So again, and we'll just put those at City Hall and we can distribute them at the same place, but a magnet that people can put on the side of the refrigerator, front of the refrigerator, depending on what kind of refrigerator you have, where it sticks. But same thing, that shows 3 carts, and then within the cart is the writing on what goes in each container. I like the idea of the stickers, but we kind of need to know in the house of what goes in what before we get it out there.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
This has been a really helpful tool for us
Good.
this week.
Very good.
But it feels like an incomplete list with some of the items that you mentioned and some other items that people have questioned
So a
tonight.
few more details.
If you can add more details and
Okay.
have something like this,
Okay.
that I think would be
Definitely.
beneficial. And again, mailing is great, but if we can have it at each of the locations, people can get it, that would be also beneficial.
They also asked me for posters, so I'm gonna make posters of that.
Yeah.
I'll make some updates, aerosol cans, maybe butter tubs, a few little
Yeah.
extra descriptive
Those-
items, but that we'll do posters and put them around town wherever we can to get people to understand.
From a safety perspective, I break a glass.
Oh, yeah, I was asking about that.
That's trash. So
I
any
know, but I don't
drinking
want
glass-
the guys to get injured.
Broken
So they
glass
go
is
to
trash.
They have to wear protective gear, so you don't worry too much.
Don't
They've
worry.
got protective gloves. They pick up broken stuff all the time.
razor blades.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
unfortunately.
tops of cans when you
A
open
a
it.
broken drinking glass
A broken
is
drinking
trash.
glass is trash, but a bottle from alcohol is not trash, it's
It's
recycle.
And broken, yeah. It's because of the way it's made. It's just, again, it goes back to a drinking glass is made of recyclable glass.
Okay.
Right.
It's not, it's the single use.
Is there an education program for hotels or vacation rentals that you've got, so we could put in guest rooms to tell them,
We
how
definitely
to?
can do that.
Okay.
Yes. definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot
I
of
feel like I
those.
need a master's in this to be able
For the buckets, could we have them here at City Hall as well, or do you just call and request it? Do you guys drop off?
And we have a
Do
lot
they
of
pick-
people that go up to the landfill and have been picking them up. Or some people
Okay.
also have even went to pick up their own carts. They're picking up carts and pails. They're driving up there. So she's been just, Dee Dee, our new girl, she's been distributing them just in her 2 weeks there.
Oh, good,
Mhm.
good.
And I'm curious, for a city that's more well-established with this process, and I know probably every city has gone through what we're going through right now, did it even out once everyone started putting the trash and organics, all that?
Definitely, and I think
Okay.
Tom mentioned it, like, so when we started this in 1989, and everyone had to recycle 25% by the year 2000, trust me, it was the same growing pains. In time, you get used to it.
Yeah.
In time, you get used to it. But the organics has been a little slower in all the cities. We're not seeing a whole lot of volume. We see a lot of the yard trimming still, but it's still slow on the food scraps. So it's a process. So you're really right in line of other cities that are starting new programs. It's
So
nothing
just,
different.
kind of give some relief to everyone, although we're struggling right now, we're gonna
Definitely.
get through it, and, okay.
Definitely.
Because it really is amazing, because I've been a recycle freak forever. I mean, when I first moved to this town 28 years ago, I was like, what? There's no recycling program?
You were from Washington, that's why.
I know, right? I'm a total hippie. But you would be absolutely amazed at how little trash you actually have.
Right.
There's a lot of recyclables and a lot of organics, and so it will even out, but it's gonna take a lot of education around here.
Yeah.
Just a question because of coffee. I do regular coffee, so
The filter?
The filter?
Is organics.
Okay, I
Yes,
just-
with the coffee grounds.
All right.
Coffee grounds and all. If you're an old-fashioned coffee drinker.
it's
yes,
an yeah.
We like it.
Can you give us information on where we can get recycled compostable bags? If you can get a list of
Amazon.com.
manufacturers.
Amazon, Target, Walmart.
I know, but which ones? I know Denise she got some compostable bags and she said, but they were only gonna last for 3 days. And I don't know what ended up happening. So you put them in there and it's already composting. I'm not gonna slop like I'm slopping pigs. I refuse to do that. So I would like to know if there are products that your other communities use that would be helpful.
I could check and to provide some information. We have a few cities that have purchased compostable bags. So with this program, Cal Recycle is offering grants, and some cities have purchased either pails or compostable bags to give to residents for
Right.
this program. So I have a couple cities that used their money to buy bags, so I can get some to staff.
Okay.
Yeah, if we can look at programs for that and possibly both bringing back recycle bags and adding compostable bags, but also small quantities of compostable bags, because we went to use some that Jordan had left behind, and they literally peeled apart like a banana, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't a bag anymore, it was just green strips of compost material.
Okay, yeah.
Well, there is a difference between compostable and biodegradable, right?
That's true.
So biodegradable, if you look for biodegradable, they're a little more
Friendly and
heavy
thinner.
duty. Yeah, they'll hold up longer than.
But they'll still.
But they still, yeah, they biodegrade, they break down.
Oh, so biodegradable versus compostable, okay.
Now we're getting really technical.
Real technical.
I know.
And then a question on recyclables and CRV funds, where those are going and what's happening with those with regards to all the recyclables?
So we've just, obviously, as mentioned, we've started the process back again. So today, we don't have any redemption value, but that's something that we are working with staff on. There's a couple projects with Cal Recycle that we're working on
Yeah.
for some grant funding. So there
And
is some
just the
stuff
question
coming
was
down the
asked by the
road.
public,
So
so.
I also presented some additional ideas on that. So it's
Yeah.
in the works, it's coming.
Yes.
I mean, I'm wondering honestly if high-density locations, I know you're talking already about the apartment complexes, but even Whitley, Marilla, parts of, Eucalyptus Hill and those areas too, if there need to be potentially additional trash pickup at least one extra day a week, and seeing if that's something that can be done, what the cost of that would be, if that's included with the current contract services, and trying to get this to be able to divert. I think we've seen in our own house, it's about 50-50 between the split of organic recycle versus trash, so that's a good diversion. So as people get used to this, I think that'll help, but seeing today some of the places, and even actually on Sunday evening and Monday morning, a day before their trash pickup, having full lids, birds already getting into the trash on the street,
saw
on
some
both
of
of
this
those
morning when
streets,
I came
yeah. So just, I don't know if we need to have something as kind of the runway to getting everything done and be able to still keep stuff clean and going until everyone is doing the program fully. And at that point, start finding, like, look at maybe 60 days or 90 days to have some kind of gap fill in between.
And people don't have room for additional trash cans. As it is, we put them in the alley
I
and
know
they're not
that's
supposed
an
to be
option.
there, so.
Yeah, that's not an option,
Yeah, and some,
In the mainland, that's what they do. If they
Right.
need an extra container, then there's a charge
Right.
for it, but that's just not an option here.
Right, right. Other questions or anything else, Devin, on there? Okay, audience, good? Well, thank you.
I will be back probably in January.
Okay, well, love to see you.
Question then. So if you have, on your regular trash day, if you have 2 cans of trash, they'll pick up the trash? Okay.
Can I ask also, I know the tags are more for people who put them out onto the sidewalk. For people that have them
If they're
permanently
stationary,
out
never
there,
moved, they will never be tagged.
thank you. It's like, you don't need to add more
No.
waste for that.
Yeah, they will.
Right.
Now, it will, down the road, when we start looking at auditing for contamination, they would get a
Sure.
tag saying, hey, you're using this container for trash.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would come with that piece, but
Yeah.
no, that,
Right.
and I reviewed that with Carmelo today, just to be clear. If they're stationary, it's only the ones that are physically rolled to the curb.
Right, okay,
Yeah, that
makes
they would be
sense.
tagged.
Great, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Julie. As long as we're talking trash, right, there's no delay for Christmas and New Year's this year, right? Because they're both on Sundays, so.
Oh.
So ironically, so I brought that up, so thank you, Dave, I forgot about that. Because Christmas Day and New Year's Day falls on Sunday, there will be no delay in trash collection. So
Regular
Monday,
days.
Tuesday, and the rest of the week, regular schedule. We are not observing
Well, and
Monday
don't
as
you
the
think you're
holiday.
gonna have a heck of a lot more trash? You're gonna have a problem with all the Christmas toys and, I mean, you know,
A
all
lot
the.
of cardboard.
A lot of it's cardboard.
A lot
I
of
know,
cardboard
but they're not gonna have
Batteries.
room for that.
Batteries.
But they're, not-
People know batteries don't go in the trash.
I know, and they go take them at Chet's.
Yes, they do.
Chet's takes
Chet's
them.
doesn't do that anymore.
No, I dropped him off the other day, her mother was working there.
Oh, thank God.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Did we have a question in the audience? Come on up. You can't talk from there, you
Hammer
have to
Val?
come up.
Yeah.
No, you
up.
have to come up.
Again, like Lisa. So my question is, white bags, no, ever, or can you use them for trash?
Trash.
Trash.
Trash?
Yep.
Okay. And we don't have any green bags yet to put,
The compost.
so we're gonna have.
So use brown paper bags. Like if you forget to take your own bags to Vons and you get brown paper bags, you can use that for
Yeah, I have
recycling.
plenty. Okay, and then we can use the trash cans we have.
Mhm.
Like
Yes.
I have.
Yeah, they don't have to
green,
be.
Blue and black. We
Mhm.
can use those. Okay.
Oh, you already have an organics bag, a big one, then. You have an organics one. Your green one is
Oh, yeah,
organics.
yeah.
Okay.
I just don't like dirty trash cans.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's quite an education today. Thank you so much. It really is helpful.
Thanks, Julie.
Okay. We have a consent calendar.
Okay, consent calendar. We have approval of the minutes from November 15th, 2022 regular council meeting. Approval of total expenditure, our warrants, approval of total expenditures for November 7th, 2022 through November 25th, 2022 totaling $2,018,565.45. We have findings to continue to hold remote teleconference virtual city council meetings pursuant to Assembly Bill 361. Council must determine COVID-19 state of emergency proclaimed by the governor still exists and has been considered by city council in deciding to continue to have teleconference meetings, and that state or local officials have imposed or recommended measures to promote social distancing in connection with COVID-19. And that as a result of the COVID-19 emergency, meeting in person would present imminent risk to the health or safety of attendees. The following item on the consent calendar is City Council acting as the housing authority, and that's adopt a resolution approving a housing authority successor agency annual report for fiscal year 21 through 22. The following item on the consent calendar is City Council acting as successor agency to the Avalon Community Improvement Agency. Adopt a resolution of the successor agency, the Avalon Community Improvement Agency, approving a recognized obligation payment schedule 22-23 and successor agency administrative budget for fiscal year 23-24. Final item on the consent calendar is council acting as successor agency to the Avalon Community Improvement Agency and the Housing Authority. Authorize the city manager, agency director to enter into a 3-year contract with RSG Inc. to provide a successor agency and housing authority consulting services through fiscal year 25-26 in an amount not to exceed $35,000 per year or $105,000 over the length of the contract.
Okay. Council, what's your pleasure?
I'll move to approve items, sorry, what was it? 1 through 6?
6.
Yep, on the consent.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. If there's no comments, call for the vote.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Schickling?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ponce?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye. Item number 8.
Item number 7.
I mean 7.
That's right.
I'm looking right at it.
Wishful thinking.
Sorry, we're just skipping right over.
Item number 7 is consideration of amendment to the transportation permit for Sarah Mintz and Juan Saldana, DBA Avalon Local Tour. The recommended action is discuss and provide direction to staff, and if consensus to approve is reached, make the affirmative findings that the criteria set forth in Avalon Municipal Code Section 5-14.04 have been met, and amend the transportation permit for Avalon Local Tours.
Would you like to make a comment?
Okay, just a couple quick things. So we've had a successful start in our golf cart tours and just excited and getting geared up for spring that's right around the corner. And so we're seeking a second commercial sticker to accommodate the peak hours, the cruise ships that are coming in. We're anticipating the meeting next week to accommodate the 5, possibly more cruise ships that are going to be coming in. And we've also gotten quite a few inquiries that we haven't been able to accommodate, all with corporate groups and large families. A lot of them coming in the afternoon when things are sold out or there's not much open left. And, you know, we want to have that availability and be able to say, yes, we can take you and show you around. So that's our goal tonight. And we want to expand, you know, the business to be able to do 2 at the same time or, you know, simultaneously and still have our backup vehicle in case of emergency. And we find that a lot of people don't plan ahead. So last minute, you know, like I said, just like to have the availability if everything else is sold out.
Right.
And
that never happens.
What else? Yeah, mostly the late afternoon arrivals, big families, the corporate bookings is why we're seeking it. We do have parking secured at the Catholic Church at 800 Beacon, and so we would just be solely, obviously, using the vehicle for the tours, and then it would be parked otherwise.
And where's your other commercial vehicle parked?
At the same place, the Catholic Church.
Is it? Okay. What happens if they decide to stop renting spaces there?
Well, they are in the process of clearing out people that are not supposed to be there now.
Okay.
So they're kind of working through those problems and some people that, you know, with the tow truck problem and whatnot. But, you know, if that comes up in a plan, in advance, we do have another backup plan.
Okay.
Which would be Falls Canyon.
Yeah. Are you thinking of getting a comparable one to that other, the big one you have?
Yes.
And that fits within our size of
Size-wise.
no oversized auto ad?
Are you getting a new one or are you getting one that's already here?
It's newer, but we have to bring it over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have to go before the vehicle hearing officer as well?
Yes.
Well, I find that these businesses I think everybody's doing really well. Whoever's doing them, it's really working well. I really don't have any concerns. I wish somebody would go electric, but I don't know we're mandating electric at this time.
Not yet.
we're into that.
Yeah. But all of my questions were the same that you guys asked already and answered, so thank you. The only question I had, just in conjunction with this, is if council would entertain at a future meeting, a discussion about policy regarding this type of business. I'd asked for it once before, but just making sure that we are all on the same page of where we want to go with this and if we want to set parameters or not, so.
I think we're all on the same page, 'cause that's exactly my
Yeah.
next question
Yeah.
on what we were gonna do with that.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk on the 14th.
The other thing that I
Sure.
did it's gonna be another conversation, and I don't know if it's something that we're gonna have on the 14th, but, just the amount of vehicles and how it's aligning with our general plan.
Right,
And
that's
that
all.
conversation would also align with the golf cart rentals.
Yep.
Right.
But, I have no problem with this, I'm so excited, I see how busy you guys are, so this is great.
Thank you.
And,
Very excited for you guys.
and this works really well, because I saw, I don't know who was driving the other day,
Yeah.
but the little speakers, and then she's got the mouthpiece on, and that works
Yeah.
really well, especially for those people in the back. I've driven before, and the people in the back don't get to hear anything, so
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Good, yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
works well.
Yeah,
People are
and you're,
excited.
and is your golf cart, it was parked when I saw it, is it quiet?
It is,
It
it is,
is.
yeah, it's newer, so it
Even
is
going
fairly
up the
quiet.
hills, does it?
It's not as quiet as the electric, we
Right,
would love to
right.
get the electric, and then we could whisper.
Yeah, I know,
But,
yeah.
yeah, it is very quiet.
Yeah,
It's pretty
good.
quiet, I've heard you guys drive up like by the Country Club Road going up, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
fairly
bad.
quiet.
Oh, good, okay.
We have a speaker, but we don't use music, obviously, so.
Well.
We try to be quiet.
Okay, if consensus to approve is reached, make it affirmative findings. You want to make a motion there, Ms. Lisa, or someone, that the findings have been met?
Sure. Sorry, I'm just looking for the.
Anybody?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to, make affirmative the findings of the criteria set forth in Avalon Municipal Code, Section 5-14.04 have been met, and amend the transportation permit for Avalon local tours.
Thank you so much.
I'll second.
Okay, comments or anything on your machine? No? Then call for the vote?
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye?
Councilmember Schickling?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ponce?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye. Thank you, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Good luck at your
Appreciate y'all.
hearing. Are you going to the hearing officer this next, I think we have one in December, right? The vehicle hearing
If
officers
you
are
can
coming?
squeeze me in, we'll be there. If not, we'll wait until
I
January.
think that agenda's already been set, right?
Oh, okay, good, so January.
Next
Alrighty.
month it is. But I look forward to the cruise ship meeting and, getting on board with them and
Yes.
being available.
Okay.
So thank you so much, everybody.
Uh-huh, thank you. Okay, item number 8.
Item number 8 is a required ordinance from the state concerning accessory dwelling units. Basically, the state has some standards that cities have to adopt, and I can briefly go over them. It's basically that now the allowable height of accessory dwelling units, regardless of what you have in the ordinance, is 2 feet higher. It's up to 18 feet, so you just have to adopt that. The second one is setbacks. So currently we have setback requirements in the city. If there's an accessory dwelling unit that has to be, that can be built and can be 800 feet, which is the size, the setbacks that the city has are waived. In other words, you have to allow an accessory dwelling unit to expand into setbacks. You don't have discretion to deny it anymore. The third one is that if you deny an accessory dwelling unit, we have to make specific factual findings as to why. And then the last one is, if someone wants an accessory dwelling unit and their house is non-compliant with building codes, fire codes, etc., we still have to allow the accessory dwelling unit, and you have to approve it. You can still require compliance with the other codes to make it for a certificate of occupancy, but you cannot hold back an accessory dwelling unit approval because of non-compliance with other conditions or safety codes. And again, this is something that the state has mandated. All cities in California are doing this. It's part of the requirement to create more housing in cities.
So you couldn't even make it a condition that they bring up their current dwelling to code or whatever before they build the ADU if it's non-conforming?
You can, only if it is a health to the public safety and welfare. So you could do that, but it's gotta be that condition to the public health and safety and welfare, to specific finding. So what we'll do is, if someone comes in and it fails the inspection, we'll make certain that code corrects it before we give a certificate of occupancy.
Okay.
So they can build it, but they can't get a certificate of occupancy until they comply with all the other violations.
For the other one.
For the other ones.
Oh, all right,
But we can't say that you don't get one.
right.
So if I had a piece of property, it would be beneficial to put 4 or 5 or 6 ADUs on there, right? I mean, but 800 feet, a lot of the houses in Avalon aren't 800
Right.
feet.
Right.
But you could do the AD, and there's no, so you do the ADUs, they're just smaller units,
They're
basically.
just smaller units, but there are, there are limitations on how many you can have. You just can't subdivide your house into 8 ADUs.
Right.
These are like one or two accessory dwelling units. You still have the ability on that.
If I had a.
This year,
Yeah,
this
okay,
year.
Okay.
Yeah,
But I'm
and
just-
they're not.
Because they've done
allowed-
this, they've changed this 5 times
Yeah.
since they started tinkering with ADUs.
Right, and they're
Now-
not allowed to be short-term
Right,
rentals.
and there's junior ones now coming up, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you already have some
On the
junior ones.
So if I had a vacant lot, though, I could build 5 or 6 ADUs on there?
Well, actually, you could build, we already have in the municipal code that you can build very, very small units.
There's a couple going in around
Yeah.
town already. People have,
Yeah.
the older lots around here that are
Right.
pretty large, have enough room to put an ADU.
I just wonder if you had a vacant lot.
You could do that, and then remember,
Put a bunch of
I think we did this about 6 or 7 years ago. You can even have like one kitchen facility and one bathroom facility for like 3 or 4 units, so it's rooms.
Yeah, wow.
Almost like the Westbrook, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Huh.
And again, it's just encouragement of the state to
Yeah.
create more housing.
Right.
So just a question on this, because we knew that these were coming out, but with regard to a location like East Whitley that has the 10-foot setback currently, where there is potentially the room to add that to a lot if someone in that area wanted to, what would the factual finding need to be to not do that, to make that not happen? Is there a factual finding there?
Well, if they are, if it can, well, I guess the issue is, usually it's when you're adding an ADU and
Yeah.
you need to go into the setback. If
Right.
you've got a vacant lot
Yeah.
and you can build, the 800 square foot thing within the setback,
Right.
there's not going to be exception. This is
Right.
for when you've got something already and you want to add something, and the only way to do it is to go into the setback.
Okay.
We can't say no anymore.
And no matter how bad the neighbors would complain about their neighbor is gonna build
Well, the
it.
other thing that they've done, and they did this last time, is most of these are now over-the-counter permits. So
Right.
you don't even go to planning commission on these.
Right.
These are just administrative
notified, it's
permits.
not-
Again, it's just to
You don't
have
notify the
more of
neighbors
these
or
type of
nothing.
units.
Yeah.
So they've taken a lot of the discretionary approvals and the public hearings out.
Wow.
So all those units that pretty much, like at, not Bahia Vista, but Sola Vista, all of those that are underground, those are basically ADUs that those people put in a long time ago, right?
Junior
Yeah.
ADUs, yeah, 'cause
Right.
they're
Junior-
attached.
Yeah.
So that would be the JADU.
Yeah, okay. Okay, all righty. Council, any comments there or comments here?
And I'm just going to throw my 2 cents in here. And the reason this is all happening is because cities for years have neglected to do any changes to allow lot splits or people to do ADUs. So cities have brought this on themselves, and that the state said, you're not providing housing, you're blocking housing, not in my neighborhood, and this is the fallout from all of that. So they're taking the control, our fault because we allowed it to happen, because we refused to do anything about it. So now we need to start, and it's one of those big arguments going on in the state of California with the cities about local control. But if you're not going to do anything and you're going to block all kinds of development to allow somebody to build something, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
It has, yeah.
they're going to tell us what
Yeah.
we're going to do.
Exactly. Okay.
With that, I'll introduce a motion to find the ordinance exempt from the California Environmental Quality CEQA Act pursuant to section 15061B3 of the CEQA guidelines, as there is no possibility that this activity will have a significant adverse effect on the environment. And 2, introduce and waive all further readings of an ordinance updating the accessory dwelling unit ADU regulations to reflect new mandatory changes in California state requirements.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. If no further comment, call for the vote.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Schickling?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ponte?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye. Well, if there's no further business, good night, Tony, and meeting is adjourned.